Hello, art people and aspirers. This is Trevor, and welcome to the channel, Saying Pride Art. Today we have well, I would say tutorial on how to draw noses, but like most artists, um, you never really become the master. You're kind of always the pupil until maybe one day when you're quite old, you can become the master. And I'm not that old yet. So uh, in this video, I do my best to kind of go through the process of drawing noses. And, it's always like most features on the face, you wouldn't think a portrait would be that difficult, but at times you can find yourself struggling quite a bit. So the correct thing to do is to, if you're drawing a piece and you find yourself struggling with a particular area, it's probably good to stop and go ahead and do a few quick studies and see if you can maybe bridge the gap of what you want to draw and well, actually bridge the gap and knowledge. So usually when you are having a hard time drawing something, is in your head you might think you know what you want to draw, or you think you might know the structure, but in all actuality there's some missing information there, and that's why you can find yourself fumbling around, trying to basically trying to fill the gap in between the knowledge that you don't have and trying to actually make the drawing. So if you, and I will say sorry about the quality. I was filming this, obviously I'm drawing traditionally, and my camera was a little bit further back than it probably should have been, so I had to actually zoom in to get you some of these shots, but I'll probably do some screen recording as well in Photoshop, so I won't have any of those issues. So when drawing the nose, I like to kind of start at the corners of the eye sockets, and usually try and find the bottom of the nose and at least get those relationships in place. And it can also be good to kind of sketch out the way I'm doing here. I'm kind of sketching out the outline of the kind of the flanks of the nose, just so that way I have some kind of guidelines, and put as many guidelines as you need. You can always erase those things, but whatever helps your brain to put together the process. If you need to do something unique that nobody else does, just go ahead and do it. Everybody computes things differently, so this nose here was actually quite hard, just because the guy's nose is kind of flat, not quite like a fighter, but maybe in a sense. And then he's also quite tan, and so the shadows aren't very strong, even though the lighting is pretty good. And I'll show you the references I use for all these here. But okay, guys, so here's the references that I use for the nose studies / tutorials. Here's the nose that I think I'm currently on. So what I'm thinking, let me zoom in here a bit. when I need a place to start, usually I like to start somewhere around here and try and get this area here where the eye sockets, kind of the deep recesses in the eye sockets start. And usually what I'll do then is try and get a line going down the face, and that will kind of tell me, give me a nice guide of what angle I'm trying to draw things. And also I'd like to get this line going across here for the eyes. Once I have that, I can kind of guess where the bottom of the nose is. So after you've drawn a few noses, it's kind of intuitive, but you may have to hold the pencil in front of your face and kind of measure off of the pencil with your arm out straight to kind of measure. And maybe you can use, let's say, this distance here and line that up with maybe this distance here, and that will tell you if it's larger or smaller, and that way you can keep things in proportion. So once I have this area here, I try and find the furthest edges of the nose down here, and I'll kind of just come down just like this to kind of map out this area. Maybe try and find the angles down here. Try and lay out the ball of the nose if I can, and try and get these structures in here as well. And then also start to work on the nostril area, which can be quite difficult sometimes, but get this area, and then try and usually this area is you have to look really closely, because a lot of times the values, they change very subtly, but if you look closely you'll be able to tell, you know, these angles here and the changes that happen. So I kind of like to think of things in terms of planes. You know, you kind of have this plane here, and then obviously all this down here is kind of in the bottom. Usually you'll have your little bottom piece to the nostril, to the nose here. I think it's the septum, if I'm not mistaken. But that's generally what I'm thinking when I'm drawing noses. And you know, so for this guy, I would draw a line around here, and I would draw a line there. I usually if you can find the corners, or for me anyways, I like to find these corners right here, and then I can go out from there. And you know, this face would be, you know, this line would be more like that, and this line would be like that, just for reference. And then I usually like to, if I can get the ball of the nose, so if you notice the structure here, actually it's kind of divided in half. Here, let me try and draw that. It's actually like that one there. But a lot of people, you don't really see that split, but some people you will see that split. So it's good to know that it's there. And this one here, you can see the bottom of the nose, so you do want to make sure you get that in there. And then the nostrils here. This one's kind of tie in like that. This nostril's not hugely visible, but if you you know, you're kind of looking at it from a almost a 3/4 view, and then since this guy has some kind of
not just makeup, but he actually has probably like some kind of implant on his nose for this. He has a very interesting nose structure, and then you kind of go like that. I'm not sure you see much of this area here, but it's there. So basically, that's what I'm thinking. If you can add the shadow, add the shadow here, add the shadow in the typical areas. Unless your lighting is different, those things will help you too. If you just kind of quickly find the shadow shapes, that can help out a lot as well.
All right, and back to the nose here. And you may find, at least I do anyways, if I don't add some kind of value or shading to my sketches, it just doesn't feel right. So what I'll do is I'll lay in some values, and you'll see me smudging it with my pinky, and what that does is it kind of gives everything, it kind of knocks down the values that are dark, and at the same time it darkens the parts that don't have any value on them, so it kind of just smudges it around. That way you can just come back with the eraser and give yourself some highlights, and just kind of it can help. You figure rendering is a part too, but I think really you should just be focusing on the lines. Really, you just want to get the structure, um, and all the shading stuff. That's kind of just rendering. Um, but like I said, I can't stop myself, so I have to just render it a little bit. But here we go on this nose, and so I've got that area at the top of the nose. It's a lot of times it's kind of a I guess it's like a skewed rectangle, maybe almost a triangle upside down. That's a good, most faces, most noses have that there. Um, so this guy, you can actually see that split in the front of the nose where the cartilage is, and this is I believe it's the older gentleman. So you probably will see a few wrinkles. But if you'll notice, I have the basic shape. I have all the information I need. Basically, at this point, I'm just rendering it out. But I have all my guidelines, and once you start rendering it, you kind of decide what lines get darker and what lines are going to disappear, and those are just going to be slight value shifts, which most of it is. Most of it is not a hard line. Um, the only lines you might actually get will be, you know, at the bottom of the nose or in the nostril or anywhere that's in deep shadow. Everything else is mainly just value shifts and lighting and the skin turning away and the sides of the nose. All right, so there you'll notice I was using the pencil to find the angle of the model's face and actually hold that up to my drawing to try to make sure that I had the same angle going. And here is this is the vampire guy's nose, or whatever he is, some kind of monster. So this one here, I'm actually using angles from the pupils of the eyes down to the nose, just to kind of cross-reference. I guess it's kind of like uh, triangulating. So the more, let's just say I draw the mouth on here too. Um, a lot of times it's either the wide parts of the nostril down is somewhere close to the corners of the mouth, or a lot of times it's actually the pupil of the eyes. So you can kind of reference different things. The more structures you put on your drawing when you're drawing a face, you can kind of cross-reference things, and that can help you get the likeness as well. So here I've got most of the shadow shapes in. I don't have the shadow shapes under the nostrils yet, but just trying to work my way around the form and decide if I like where things are and if they're accurate. But most times you will need to erase and start over. So don't be afraid to just erase everything and do it as many times as you need to. And um, it's always a struggle. So don't, if you're not getting it, don't feel bad. Um, you can draw for years and still not get it. So it's kind of like an internal battle that you're always fighting, but you just got to do the best you can. Okay, guys. So quick update. I consulted the Googles, and the triangle, the upside down triangle, kind of rectangle-ish area at the top of the nose. That is the glabella, and probably not going to use any of the other vocabulary associated with the nose, because who calls a nostril a larfat? I mean, really. So here we are. Um, this nose here is a pretty much a side view, um, and same process for that. Just kind of lay out the shadow shapes, lay out the eyebrows. Not too much to say about that one. Now this one here is um, the upward view. So you're almost looking straight up at the nose here. Um, it's not it's not difficult in theory. When you think about it in your head, basically when you look up at it, you're just looking at a triangle or a pyramid. Um, but then when you're trying to add the other features to the face, that's when it becomes kind of difficult. Um, So I think the problem is that in your mind, um, you might know where things are, but then as you're trying to put it on paper, things just kind of, what you think is happening and what's really happening are fighting each other. So you'll find that you kind of need to tune things out and just kind of study the reference, um, do some measuring with your pencils, or if you're using Photoshop, you can measure a ton of different ways, but you kind of got to tune yourself out and just try and look at the facts and look at the drawing and look at the measurements. So I will say this channel is probably mainly going to be fan art stuff, a little history. Years ago, I was pretty intent on being a professional artist, maybe like for Magic the Gathering, or um, somewhere along those lines, fantasy art, sci-fi art, mostly fantasy art. And I always loved fan art. Fan art was always the funnest for me. And so this channel is, well, actually, let me say, I had to quit drawing for quite a few years. I think I was getting carpal tunnel, or, I'm not really certain what the problem was. It may have been arthritis. Who knows? It's still really not diagnosed. But basically, I had to quit that. I went out and eventually I started a handyman business. So that's what I do full time now. But if you love art, you love art. It's in your soul. So I have a little bit of extra time on my hands every now and then, and just trying to figure life out. What do I want to do? In my spare time, and I decided, I'd really like to start making art again. So um, I started doing these studies here. I was going to do a Vegeta, um, Super Saiyan Goku, Dragon Ball Z fan art. So I'm just trying to do some studies and kind of get reacquainted with drawing again. Um, so I guess, long story short, there's a Vegeta fan art piece coming up soon, and I figured, well, I might as well start a channel and try and do more of what I like to do, besides just working all the time. So that's what I'm doing. If you guys like the videos, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. I'd love to have you guys around for more videos, and yeah, there's always more to come. More eyes and mouths and um, lips. I'm really struggling with lips right now, so there's going to be probably some lip videos on trying to figure that out. But hopefully this stuff helps you. Um, like I said, I'm not the master. I'm just a student of art, as most people are, and it's a process, and you learn something new every day, usually. So this one here, this one is pretty much unscripted. I was just drawing this kind of nose and face from imagination. You figure you do all these studies, what good is it if you can't um, use the knowledge that you've learned and apply it? So I mean that's the goal for for a lot of people, and especially anybody that was kind of involved in and trying to become the type of artist that I was looking to be. Is a lot of times you're drawing from imagination. So for me and probably many of you, the goal is to have the knowledge. So we do these studies and we draw from imagination because we want those skills. So at any time you want to draw a face from any angle, you can do so. That's the goal. Um, so if you guys made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. It means a lot. And if you got any questions or ideas for videos, please leave them in the comments down below. And I'll see you real soon. Thanks for watching.